The most expensive transmission repair is the one you never needed. I've watched BMW owners drop $6,000 on a rebuild for a problem that was never inside the transmission at all. Here's the one thing you have to understand before we go any further. Your transmission doesn't think for itself. It reacts to information from the engine computer, and if that information is wrong, the transmission is doing exactly what it was told, even though it looks like it's falling apart. So before you ever blame the gearbox, work through these 6 things in order. This is the exact sequence I use on every BMW that comes through my shop, and it will save you thousands before you ever open the transmission. Number 1 is your electrical system. BMW's transmission control unit needs stable voltage to talk to the rest of the car over the network. A weak battery or a failing alternator causes voltage to drop below where it needs to be, and when that happens, the EGS can lose communication entirely. That shows up as false solenoid codes, or the transmission dropping into a limp emergency mode for no obvious reason. Check your resting battery voltage with the key off, and check it again with the engine running under load. This costs you nothing but a multimeter and 5 minutes. A corroded ground strap causes the exact same voltage instability as a dying battery or alternator, and it's one of the most overlooked checks on this list. These connections sit exposed to road salt and moisture for years, and a few tenths of a volt of resistance is all it takes to confuse the system. When voltage drops below the minimum threshold the transmission controller needs, it drops communication with the CAN bus network entirely. That's the network every module in the car uses to talk to each other, and losing it means the EGS can't confirm gear ratio data, throttle input, or torque values coming from the engine. Before you ever look at a gear ratio fault code, pull up the EGS on a diagnostic tool and check specifically for supply voltage fault codes. If the transmission logged a voltage drop event, that's your answer, and it has nothing to do with clutch packs or solenoids. Before we get to the next one, if you want a more in-depth look into how your BMW or Mercedes can last 100,000, 200,000, or even 300,000 miles, these ebooks reveal the exact maintenance secrets and brand-specific strategies that every BMW or Mercedes owner should know. If you want to check them out, the link is down in the description below. Number 2 is your intake system. The DME calculates engine torque based on how much air the engine is actually taking in and sends that torque signal to the transmission controller, which uses it to set hydraulic line pressure. A vacuum leak, a cracked intake boot, or a dirty mass airflow sensor causes the computer to underreport how much torque the engine is really making. When that happens, the EGS sends less hydraulic pressure than the engine actually needs, and you get clutch slip, gear flare on the 1-2 and 2-3 shifts, and the transmission hunting for gears under light acceleration. A smoke test on the intake and a look at your fuel trims will tell you if this is your problem before you ever touch the transmission. The DME doesn't just look at your mass airflow sensor to figure out engine load. It also pulls data from the manifold absolute pressure sensor and the throttle valve position, and if any one of these 3 readings is off, the torque calculation sent to the transmission is off right along with it. A torn intake boot or a cracked charge pipe lets unmetered air into the engine without the computer ever knowing it's there. The engine ends up making more power than the computer thinks it's making, and the transmission gets a hydraulic pressure command that's too low for the actual torque coming through it. When you check your fuel trims, you want to see them holding within a tight, specified range under normal driving. If they're drifting outside that window, that's a clear sign the computer is compensating for unmetered air, and it's exactly the kind of thing that gets misdiagnosed as a slipping clutch pack. Number 3 is your driveline. Heavy clunk shifting into gear or vibration during a low-speed shift get blamed on the transmission constantly, and it's rarely the actual cause. On X-Drive models, worn transfer case fluid or a failing actuator creates binding that feels exactly like transmission slop. Collapsed transmission mounts and cracked flex discs do the same thing. Get underneath the car, check your rubber mounts, and if you're on an X-Drive model, there's a way to isolate the transfer case to confirm whether that's where the clunk is really coming from. On X-Drive models specifically, mismatched tire sizes front to rear create a rolling circumference difference that the transfer case has to constantly compensate for. Over time, that constant correction wears the actuator and creates a binding sensation that feels exactly like a transmission that's hesitating to engage. Cracked rear differential bushings cause a similar problem. They allow just enough movement in the rear subframe that torque transitions produce a heavy thud, and because that thud happens right as you shift from park to drive, it's almost always blamed on the transmission first. The real test here is isolation. Unplug the transfer case control module and take the car for another short drive. If the clunk or the binding disappears with the transfer case disconnected, you've just proven the transmission was never the problem, and you saved yourself from paying for a repair that wouldn't have fixed anything. Number 4 is your accelerator pedal. These use 2 potentiometers to send your input to the DME, and they wear out over time. When they do, you get a jumpy signal instead of a smooth one, which throws off kickdown timing and shift point calculation. Sluggish response, unexpected downshifts, delayed upshifts. All of it can trace back to a worn pedal sensor instead of anything inside the transmission itself. These pedal assemblies use 2 separate potentiometers working together specifically so the computer can cross-check one signal against the other. When physical wear creates a dead spot in one of them, the 2 signals stop agreeing with each other, and the DME has to make a judgment call about which one to trust. That judgment call happens in milliseconds, and it's rarely smooth. The result is a driver demand signal that jumps around instead of rising and falling in a clean line, and since the transmission relies on that exact signal to time its kickdown and calculate shift points, the shifting itself starts to feel inconsistent even though the transmission hardware hasn't changed at all. The fix here is often software, not hardware. Graph the pedal position voltage on a scan tool and confirm it rises in a smooth, linear curve with no flat spots. Then reset the DME's throttle driver adaptations, which clears out any learned latency the computer has built up around a worn sensor, and in a lot of cases, that alone restores predictable shifting. Number 5 is ignition performance. A subtle misfire under load, especially lugging in a higher gear at low RPM, mimics torque converter clutch shutter almost perfectly. Worn spark plugs or a failing coil interrupt torque delivery just enough to feel like a slipping converter. Before you condemn the torque converter, pull up your misfire counters and smooth running values under load. It's a 5-minute check that rules out an entire category of complaints. Carbon buildup on the intake valves is common on these direct injection engines, and it causes the exact same kind of subtle torque interruption as a worn spark plug or a weak coil. The engine loses a small amount of power for a fraction of a second, and that interruption ripples straight through the driveline. This shows up worst when you're lugging the engine in a higher gear at low RPM, like climbing a grade at highway speed without downshifting. That's exactly the condition where torque converter clutch shutter also happens, which is why the two get confused so often, even by experienced technicians. The difference is that a micro misfire is an engine problem wearing a transmission costume. Before you let anyone condemn a torque converter, pull up the smooth running cylinder values and misfire counters on a scan tool under that same heavy load condition. If one cylinder is dropping out under load, that's your shutter, and it has nothing to do with the lockup clutch. Number 6 is your wheel speed sensors. The EGS needs accurate wheel speed data from the stability control system to calculate shift timing correctly. A corroded sensor or a worn tone ring distorts that signal, and the transmission holds gears unnaturally high or refuses manual shift inputs because it can't reconcile what it's seeing internally against what the wheels are actually doing. Pull up live wheel speed data across all 4 corners during a road test. If one wheel doesn't match the others, you've found your problem, and it has nothing to do with clutch packs. Every shift the EGS makes is a calculation that compares its own internal output speed sensor reading against what the wheels are actually doing out on the road. When a wheel speed sensor is corroded or a tone ring has worn down, that comparison stops lining up, and the transmission has no way to confirm whether it's actually safe to shift. Rather than risk an incorrect shift, the computer plays it safe. It holds gears artificially high in the RPM band, or it flat out refuses a manual shift input from the paddle or the gear lever, because as far as it's concerned, it can't verify vehicle speed with confidence. This is one of the easier checks to confirm. Pull up live wheel speed data across all four corners during an actual road test and watch them side by side. If one wheel is reading differently than the other three, or dropping out intermittently, you've found the cause of the gear holding complaint. And it's a sensor problem, not a mechanical one inside the case. Now, if you've worked through all 6 of those and everything checks out clean, that's when I actually start looking at the transmission itself. And this is where it gets interesting, because BMW used 2 very different transmission designs depending on the model, and they fail in completely different ways. The ZF 6-speed, found in cars like the E93 series, the E65 series, and the E70X5, is a hydraulic design built around a valve body called the Mechatronic unit. Inside that unit are rubber seals bridging fluid passages between the case and the valve body. Over time and heat cycles, that rubber hardens, flattens, and cracks. The main bridge seal is shaped like a figure 8, and when it splits, pressurized fluid leaks back into the pan instead of applying the clutches. That shows up as severe flare on the 1-2 and 2-3 shifts, slipping under acceleration, and delayed engagement into drive. It's an inexpensive rubber part, but it causes symptoms that feel exactly like a transmission on its way out. There are also 4 smaller tube seals feeding the individual clutch packs, and those shrink with age the same way. When they do, you get micro leaks that bleed off clamping pressure, which feels like harsh, thumping engagement instead of a smooth shift. None of this requires a new transmission. It requires dropping the pan and replacing rubber. The GM 6-speed, used in models like the E9328i, the E83X3, and the E84X1, is a completely different animal. This unit suffers from specific mechanical linkage flaws alongside valve body hydraulic failures. The manual shift valve uses a plastic dowel pin connecting it to your shift lever, and that pin shears off with age and heat. When it breaks, moving the shifter inside the car does nothing. The transmission stays stuck in whatever gear it was last in, or loses reverse entirely. The factory fix is an upgraded valve with a steel retention pin instead of plastic, and it solves the issue permanently. This transmission also uses small plastic check balls to control fluid direction, and one specific check ball wears down and shrinks over time. Once it's small enough, it lodges in the wrong spot and blocks a clutch feed passage completely, causing a total loss of forward motion or severe slip. It's a tiny part, but it causes a scary-sounding failure. There's one more piece worth knowing on the GM side. The control module on this transmission uses silicone discs to seal internal pressure switches, and those discs crack with age, letting fluid bypass the sensor. That trips fault codes and causes harsh shifts, and it's a rebuild of that module rather than a transmission replacement. There's one more common ZF issue worth knowing about. The connector sleeve on the back of the Mechatronic unit houses 2 rubber O-rings sealing the wiring harness where it passes into the transmission case. When those O-rings harden, fluid seeps past them and contaminates the electrical connector pins, and that fluid on the pins creates resistance that trips false solenoid fault codes that look electrical but are really just a sealing problem. While that unit is apart, it's also worth cleaning the speed sensor tips inside the valve body. Fine metallic wear particles suspend in the fluid over tens of thousands of miles and build up as a gray slurry on these magnetic sensor pickups, and that coating distorts the shaft speed signal enough to trigger gear ratio mismatch codes on its own. A simple cleaning with contact cleaner, along with fresh pressure regulator solenoids, restores accurate signal and proper line pressure control at the same time. None of this works if the fluid fill is wrong, and getting it right is more particular than most people realize. The pan bolts on these plastic composite oil pans have to be torqued down in a crosswise pattern, starting from the center bolts and working outward, because uneven torque warps the pan and creates a slow leak that mimics a hydraulic problem months later. And fluid level has to be set at a specific operating temperature window while the engine is idling continuously in park. Not cold, not with the engine off, and not overheated, with fluid trickling out of the fill hole in single drops rather than a stream, or you'll set the level wrong every single time. Fluid matters just as much as any of this. ZF units require lifeguard fluid to the correct spec, and GM units require Dexron 6. Using the wrong fluid or getting the fill level wrong causes symptoms that look identical to internal wear, and it has to be checked at the correct operating temperature, not cold and not overheated, or you'll set the level wrong every time. Here's one more thing almost nobody gets right. There's a popular trick where guys hold the gas pedal to the floor for 30 seconds with the ignition on, thinking it resets the transmission. It doesn't touch the transmission at all. It only resets the throttle sensitivity profile in the engine computer. The transmission's actual shift adaptations live inside the EGS, and those only get reset with proper diagnostic software and only after you've replaced worn hardware. Reset those adaptations on a high-mileage transmission that still has its original worn seals, and you'll force it to apply factory-fresh pressure to worn components. That's a fast way to turn a slow leak into a real failure. I had a BMW come through recently where the owner swore up and down it needed a new transmission. Engine side checked out clean, no misfires, good fuel trims, driveline was solid, mounts were fine. Turned out to be exactly what we just covered, a cracked Mechatronic bridge seal. Dropped the pan, replaced the seal and the tube seals, refilled it correctly, and the shifts went right back to smooth. No new transmission, no teardown, just the one part that was actually causing the problem. That's the whole point of working through things in order. Skip straight to blaming the transmission, and you might get lucky. You might also pay for a full rebuild on a car whose real problem was a cracked rubber seal or a corroded wheel speed sensor, and never even know it. Work through the 6 checks first, understand which platform you're dealing with, and more often than not, that transmission will shift like new again. Not because you replaced it, but because you finally found what was actually broken. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and if you like content like this, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.